Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
Well, a beautiful night indeed here in downtown Cincinnati, and we welcome you to Great American Ballpark. Reds back on the home front. The first of 3 against the Minnesota Twins, and it's the beginning of a 6-game homestand. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh and Jim Day, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds baseball. Not many people saw this Twins team coming. They finished dead last 3 of the last 4 years in the American League Central Division, and yet here they are 5 games over 500 in second place behind Kansas City.
You know, Tom, and you said it exactly right when you said Twins team, because that's exactly what these guys have shown this year, that baseball is a team sport. There aren't any big names on this ball club that are taking the headlines day in and day out. They're putting it together because they're getting efforts from everybody in their on their roster and in their lineup. I mean, and really it revolves around starting pitching as far as I'm concerned. That very bottom stat that you see right there, they're third in the AL there. They don't walk anybody. Their starters are second or third in the league in wins. So they keep their team in the ball game within striking distance, and that American League Central Division is still in striking distance for this Twins team.
Well, let's talk about tonight's pitching matchup. It begins for the Reds with right-hander Mike Leake. His last couple times out, he has been mighty impressive.
It has been a tale of 3 seasons for Mike Leake, really. You start off, he was outstanding in the month of April, his first 5 starts, though. Then he had a couple of bumps in a row where he really didn't pitch all that well. He got hit around a little bit. He didn't go deep into the ball games. His last 2 times out, though, he has been lights out. Throwing the ball where he wants to, back to being aggressive, not so much falling in love with that cutter anymore. He's using his sinking fastball, and it's been a very good formula for him.
And for Mike Pelfrey, he is healthy again, and he's pitching mighty good baseball.
Well, if you like big, tall, right-handed pitchers, you'll like Mike Pelfrey. Former New York Met is going to make his 15th start. Those numbers of 5 and 4, very deceiving. He could have a lot more wins than that. The Twins simply don't score very many runs for him. Fastball, splitter. That's pretty much the repertoire the Reds are going to see tonight.
All right, when we come back, Jim Day down on the field talks about some of the players going head-to-head tonight. Guys having real good seasons. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.
Action tonight. Twinkies in town early on. First pitch until about the 4th or 5th inning. Chance of a spotty thunderstorm across the area. Anywhere where these things do occur, they could be on the heavy side, but we hope they avoid the ballpark. They'll be very random in nature. 75 to start, down to 70 degrees and mostly cloudy skies by the time you're headed for home. Looks like a dry start tomorrow morning. And remember, I'm a write-in candidate for the All-Star game with a swing like this. Woo! Enjoy the game, everybody, on Fox Sports Ohio.
Tim, thank you. I'm Jim Day. Reds back to interleague play. We don't see the Minnesota Twins very often, but I can tell you there'll be some stars on the field and guys that love to hog the bases. Let's check out our IGS Bringing the Energy, and you will see career on-base percentage. Joey Votto leading all active players in that category at a .416 clip. Pujols, Cabrera, and then Joe Mauer, who will be on the field for the Twins tonight at .397 on-base percentage, just ahead of Prince Fielder. Also keep your eye on Brian Dozier. This guy gets on base with a lot of frequency. In fact, extra base hits. He's got 41 extra base hits, including 19 in his last 32 games. That's the most in the American League and tied for third in all of Major League Baseball. In the other dugout, is Todd Frazier, and he not only leads the National League, he leads all of Major League Baseball with 47 extra base hits. Also leads the National League in total bases and tied for first in runs scored. Todd Frazier having an all-star-like season, and he hopes it continues in this series because the Reds looking for a rebound. As I said, back to interleague play. Minnesota Twins, Cincinnati Reds on deck. Tom Brenneman and Chris Welsh with the call next on Fox Sports Ohio.
By Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. By Chevy, check out their award-winning lineup. Only your tri-state Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili, feeling good. It's Skyline time. Paul Molitor, the first-year manager of the Minnesota Twins, are 5 games over 500. 40 wins against 35 losses. Only the Kansas City Royals have been better inside the American League Central Division than Molitor's Twins. His leadoff man is Brian Dozier. He looks at a strike, and we're underway. Many believe Dozier on his way to the All-Star game for the American League. It doesn't look like he'll be voted in as a starter, but certainly has earned the right to play in that game. 15 home runs, 23 doubles. Has 7 stolen bases, throw in 3 triples, and as Jim Day mentioned a moment ago, leading the American League in extra base hits is Brian Dozier. But he'll be taken care of on 3 pitches by a leak to begin game 1 of this series. We look at Minnesota's starting lineup. Joe Mauer coming up, longtime catcher, now their first baseman. Torrey Hunter back in a Minnesota Twins uniform in right. Plouffe down at third. Rosario in center, Suzuki behind the plate, Escobar in left. The pitcher will bat 8th, and Danny Santana, the shortstop, bats 9th. Mauer, a 3-time American League batting champion. But all of a sudden, after winning an American League Most Valuable Player award, hit 28 home runs in 1 season. They moved into the brand new ballpark, and he's not been the same hitter ever since. Nearly lost that one in the sun to Billy Hamilton, but he stayed with it to make the play. I think Paul Molitor are going to take a look at this one. Mauer is still standing at first base. Billy caught it.
There's no doubt about it, and I don't think there's any might have lost it in the sun. I think he definitely lost it in the sun and just kind of threw his glove out there where he thought that ball was going to go at last sighting. That's a great effort. They moved Billy Hamilton around right before that at bat by Mauer. You want to play him to hit the ball in left field?
Well, this is taking far too long for the folks on the Minnesota side to take a look, and now they're convinced Hamilton caught the ball. No sunglasses out there. Well, if you make the play, who needs it? 2 away in the inning. And it's ball 1 to Torrey Hunter.
I'm surprised that neither. I don't know about Marlon Byrd. I can't really tell from where I'm sitting whether he's got sunglasses or not. But we know this is a very tough left and center field this time of day when the sun is out.
But
no problem on ground balls, though.
8-pitch opening inning for Mike Leake. Side retired in order. Reds are coming up when we return. Sun shining brightly here in downtown Cincinnati at nearly 7:15 Eastern Standard Time. Brian Price's starting lineup presented by Meyer. Billy Hamilton's back in that leadoff spot. And look who's playing second base, Ivan De Jesus Jr. Our main man Jim Day will have more on Brandon Phillips in a short while. Joey Votto, Todd Frazier, Jay Bruce, Marlon Byrd. A ladder third to Tucker Barnhart, Suarez, and Leake bats 9th. Mike Pelfrey makes his 15th start, having a real good year, as those numbers would indicate.
Belfry, a big guy, and you look for the ball out of a pitcher's hand who is 6 feet 7 inches tall, obviously in a different spot than you do a shorter pitcher. And Belfry will use that downward plane very well. When he's down the zone, which is where he needs to be most of the time, he uses that two-seam fastball a lot. He uses a splitter. That's probably his best off-speed pitch. And tries to induce the ground ball.
Good crowd on hand tonight. Real good crowd on this Monday night. Hamilton brings it with him. And you can phone that in. As soon as that got by the mound, forcing the second baseman to come in and get it. Dozier gave it a good try, but that's a bunt hit by Billy.
Billy Hamilton breaks new ground with this because we have not seen him drag bunt, which is pull the bunt with you on the right side, batting left-handed, in a long time. He'll do that against left-handed pitchers, but from the right-handed batter's box. And you're right, Tom. You know, you can bunt it hard. You can make the second baseman field the ball. And that's exactly what he did. And there's not too many guys in baseball that can outrun that play, but Billy can.
6th bunt hit of the season for Billy Hamilton, and that's really 6 in about the last 4 weeks or so. He didn't have one, you may remember, for a long time. Now, what about the running game against Pelfrey?
It's a great weapon. Of course, against Pelfrey, the running game is also a good weapon. This year, 5 up as far as opponents' stolen bases, only 1 thrown out. I think you're going to run on this combination because Pelfrey long, deliberate to the plate, and Suzuki behind the plate, maybe not the best arm in the American League.
Evande Jesus Jr., 47 at-bats since being brought up from Louisville. 10 hits in those 47 trips, a pair of home runs, 3 doubles, 6 batted in.
So here are some of the things that you consider if you're Brian Price. Do you bunt him over now, or do you try to let Billy steal and then bunt him over, or get him over with a ground ball to the right side?
Well, the bleeder down the right field line, and that is a fair ball. And Hamilton easily into third. He read it all the way. And now the Reds have it cooking here. A bunt single, a bloop single on the corners, none out.
I believe that Billy Hamilton made better contact on his bunt than DeJesus makes with this, but who cares? That's a base hit. Looks like a line drive in my scorebook, and the Reds go first and third here with nobody out in the first inning.
Here's Joey Votto at 284, 14 home runs and 36 runs batted in. Joey had a very, very quiet road trip. Of course, he wasn't alone. But only 4 hits in 25 trips. He did not knock in a single run through Pittsburgh and New York. Of course, the Reds didn't score very many in the Big Apple. That is a very talented, young New York Mets starting rotation. 2-0 on Votto. I know you were very impressed with that young man in his major league debut yesterday. What a day.
I think the entire baseball world was not just impressed, but overwhelmed. I mean, he on the mound was dominant, and at the plate, 3 hits, 4 runs batted in his major league debut.
All downhill from here.
I'm not sure he can get a whole lot better.
2-0 on Joey Votto. And there's a strike.
Well, they must have known something because they gave him number 32. And usually that particular number is reserved for only the finest of left-handed pitchers. Guys like Steve Carlton, Sandy Koufax, John Matlack, Tom Browning.
2-1 the count on Votto. And it's a fastball in the inside corner up under his hands. Now the Twins are a team a lot like the Pirates, where they will put exaggerated shifts on batters. Now with runners on the corners here, we're not going to see as much of it. We'll see through this series with a guy like Votto at the plate, especially when they get to 2 strikes in an at-bat. They start moving all kinds of guys around. In fact, Paul Molitor, read an article about him at he was very impressed the way Clint Hurdle's team went about their business in that regard. 2-2 on Votto. Full count. Minnesota kicking off a 10-game road trip. This is the second city on it. They lost 2 of 3 to the Brewers over the weekend after a very impressive homestand with series wins over the Cubs and taking 2 of 3 from the White Sox. Runner goes first to second. It swung on and fouled out of play. It was this road trip a year ago where the wheels fell off the Twins season. They were a couple of games over 500 and sitting right at 500. And then at the end of June, they started a road trip by losing 5 straight games, and they would never get to 6 games under 500. No better than that for the remainder of the year. They have lost 90 or more games in 4 consecutive seasons. There's ball 4, and they're loaded with nobody out for Todd Frazier. And boy, does he like home cooking. Todd Frazier in the driver's seat, brought to you by Kia. Look at these numbers here at Great American Ballpark for Todd Frazier. And I tell you what, you give it up once again to the Cincinnati fans. The last round of balloting for the starting third baseman for the National League All-Star team, Matt Carpenter led Todd Frazier, who was in third place at the time, by over 2.5 million votes. The latest balloting was released today. Frazier is 63,000 votes behind Matt Carpenter. 2.5 million to 63,000. Hooks this one into left field, a base hit. That'll drive in a run, making it 1-0 Cincinnati.
Frazier coming out swinging. Got to figure that he would, given the fact that he had bases loaded, nobody out. Mike Pelfrey has nowhere to put him. And he throws a changeup right there, a little split finger action changeup that he just gets a little bit out ahead of, but is able to drive it right in there to drive the run in. Hamilton goes back because there was a little bit of a decoy put on by Eduardo Escobar, the left fielder, that he thought he may be able to catch that, but he scored anyway.
Now Jay Bruce hit .237, 12 home runs, 38 runs batted in. They're loaded with none out. Reds leading 1-0 in the opening inning. We were talking with Bert Blyleven before the game. Former great major league pitcher. Boy, what a career he had. Now a television analyst for his beloved Minnesota Twins. And we were talking about every time the Reds saw Pelfrey when he was with the Mets, this guy looked like the best pitcher in the league. His numbers against the Reds would certainly back that up. There's Bert Blyleven. 2-1.
That's one of the first pitches that he's thrown down in the zone. If you really get inside the numbers on Pelfrey, you find out that this is a year in which his ground ball percentage has skyrocketed. And that's from simply keeping the ball down, throwing more two-seam sinking fastballs and ones up. But in this inning, he's missed up.
Threw a fastball right by Bruce, up and away that time. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Still not an easy time of day to see the baseball coming out of a pitcher's hand. Very bright on the background here. The batter's eye is black. They've got shades covering the glass, but nonetheless, it's not an easy time of day.
Two delivery on Jay Bruce with the bases loaded, and the count goes full. Reds already with a run home. DeJesus now stands at third. Votto drew a walk in the inning. He's at second base. Frazier knocked in the game's first run at first. And Jay Bruce barrels down the barrel at a 3-2 count. Fly ball, short left center field. This will bring in De Jesus from third base. Sac fly by Bruce, and the Reds lead 2-0. We look at Minnesota defensively, presented by Ford. Escobar, Rosario, and the great Torrey Hunter. What a career he has had. Plouffe, Santana, Dozier, and Maui. Suzuki hanging aside. 2 in, 2 on, 1 out for Marlon Byrd. Byrd on the just completed road trip. 7 hits, 25 at bats, hit a home run against one of his former teams, the Pirates, on that trip. Strike 1. That last road trip started in fine form for the Reds. They won 2 out of 3 in Pittsburgh. And then, despite getting outstanding pitching all 3 days in New York, they just didn't hit and were swept by the Mets. Should be out number 2, and it is. Auto tagging. Look at the throw. It is slightly offline. Well, that's plenty of arm out there by Rosario. 2 away in the inning.
Well, not to make excuses for the Reds hitters, Tom, but I'll tell you what, that trip from Pittsburgh to New York, when the team landed and the wheels came down about 4:30 in the morning, then you got to take a trip all the way in from LaGuardia Airport. It was 5 or after 5 when these guys got to bed, and it was a tiring night at Pittsburgh anyway. And I just don't think the ball club ever really recovered. You had a night game on Friday, then you had an odd start of a 4 o'clock game on Saturday. There was just never really any feel going on. And of course, that game was rained out after 6 innings, after you sat around there for a couple of hours. So it overall, it was not a tasty trip to the Big Apple.
Of course, the Reds have had just terrible luck in general their last couple of road trips. Hey, remember the last one through Chicago and Detroit. On a Saturday night, a long rain delay. Team got to bed after 2:30 in the morning. Sunday was on Sunday Night Baseball. They had a rain delay in that game. Got into Detroit around 4 o'clock in the morning on Monday. Then on Tuesday night, long game, traveled back to Cincinnati, got in very, very late in the first game back here, the rain delay, where no one in uniform probably got to bed again before 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. It's been a rough stretch. Reds have had, what, 14 of their 74 games stopped by rain so far this year. That is a staggering number.
It is a number. I think it's the worst in baseball, is it not? If not, it's got to be up top 3.
It'd be hard to believe it could be worse. 2-1 on Tucker Barnhart. And a base hit. What a beautiful piece of hitting there by Tucker to drive in Votto. 3-0 Reds.
Yeah, I spoke with Tucker about his swing when we were in New York. I asked him if he's cut his swing down a little bit, and he said, yeah, I have. He goes, I'm doing it for a reason, because he's been now convinced that he's not a home run hitter. But when you've got a runner at third base with 2 outs, it doesn't take a home run. All it takes is a ball that's a base hit. And he finds a hole on the left side. And he's done that several times here in the last few games in which he has been playing. That's a great swing for a guy like that. Makes him a very pesky out.
Now Suarez. Suarez has not been bad with the bat, and he's made some good solid plays on defense, but he all of a sudden, that last road trip, he had a lot of problems in the field committing errors. 6 of them already for Suarez, playing regularly since the injury to Kozak. 1 ball and 1 strike. Runs home in this Redlegs opening inning. In the air and out of play over beyond the Reds dugout. And Pelfrey ahead at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Suarez, the 8th Red to bat here in the first inning.
Well, you know, getting back to Suarez and that defense, I asked Jay Bell about him, too. I said, do you see anything that he's doing consistently wrong that would lend himself to that? He said, you know, no. Everybody makes errors. In fact, I was the first one to go out to Eugenio Suarez and say, you know, in another 400 errors and you have me tied. Because if you play long enough, you're going to make a lot of errors. A little exaggeration on the part of Jay Bell.
Breaking ball, strike 3 called, but what a first inning for the Reds coming back off the road. 3 runs and a 3-0 lead at the end of 1.
Cincinnati as the Twins get set to bat here in the top of the second. Barnhart behind the plate. Frazier, Suarez, DeJesus Jr. at second base for Phillips today. Joey Votto at first. Bird, Hamilton, and Bruce around the outfield. You guys were talking about Eugenio Suarez and the tough defensive road trip that he had, and you talked about Jay Bell. You know, not one to talk publicly too much about footwork. You don't want to people misconstrue things, but this is earlier today, 3:15 today. He was out early, not only working with Jay Bell on his footwork, but Freddie Benavides, the infield instructor at the major league level for Cincinnati. They were certainly working on fundamentals. They know that this kid has it in him. As you said, he's made some solid defensive plays. It is literally the routine plays that he needs to work on his footwork on, and they were working on that today. So work in progress, but they see great things in the future with this kid.
All right, Jim Day, I want to come back to you here in a minute because I had promised the Reds fans, and they've certainly come to know by now, if there's anything going on with the Reds, you're the man to come to, especially as it pertains to Brandon Phillips. And certainly I talk about it all the time. I know you don't like me doing it, but I do, about how close you and Brandon have become through the years. And what is the very latest on his injury situation? Can you fill us in?
Well, unfortunately, he re-aggravated, easy for me to say, that left thumb injury on a swing and miss in yesterday's game. And then later in the game, he injured his right hand when Granderson was trying to go back into second base on a tag, and that was the one that got him out of the game, and that is the one that is hurting him more, actually, as this one's sitting down into the left field corner. That's the one that is keeping him out of tonight's game. Brian Price said before the game that they were going to hopefully go through BP and have him take some infield, and after that reevaluate. But I got to tell you, I'm not sure I saw Phillips on the field even taking batting practice or infield today. Asked Brian Price if it's a disabled list type situation. He didn't believe at the time it was. So again, day to day, but he's banged up not only with that left hand, but now the right one.
All right, Jim Day, as promised, delivers the goods, and he'll keep you up to date. Probably get an update after the game with Brandon. Jam shot, base hit into right field off the bat of Eddie Rosario. And the Reds, after scoring 3 times in the bottom of the first inning, are facing a little bit of a problem here to begin this second. They're on the corners with nobody out. Former Oakland A and Washington National Kurt Suzuki, the batter. .228 hitter, 3 home runs and 21 runs batted in. Plouffe the runner at third, Rosario at first, none out. Back to the mound. Leake will play for the double play. Could have gotten the runner at home, but he'll take the 2 outs instead. And it's a 3-1 ball game, but the base is empty. 2 outs in the inning.
Well, the logical thing to do, and the thing that you're taught to do early in the ball game, is you go ahead and take the outs. And he got himself into a 1st and 3rd situation. His defense right there gets him out of that, and with the run scoring. You know, you still have the opportunity. If you get that runner at the plate, now you still have 2 runners on base. And somebody comes up and pops one out of here, and you got a tie ball game. So here you start really with a clean slate, 1 run in and 2 out, and that's usually the best trade-off.
No RBI for Suzuki, and now it is Eduardo Escobar.
He almost threw that ball away, though, at second base. That was a nice grab by DeJesus. Kind of get that ball off balance and still complete the double play. He has played all over the place, Ivan DeJesus. We've seen him in left field. We've seen him at shortstop. Tonight at second base in place of Brandon Phillips.
Three and one on Escobar. Originally came up with the White Sox. He spent the last 4 years with Minnesota. And here's a 2-out walk. A reminder, coming up later, we'll have our Miller Time moment brought to you by Miller Lite. 4 batters in the inning. 3 of them have reached base safely. But to have the double play ball, 1 on, 2 outs for the pitcher Pelfrey. Up earlier, you know, Pelfrey's overall numbers in his career against the Reds are really not all that impressive. But here in Cincinnati, he has never lost a game. 4 starts, 3-0 record, and saved his best for the last time he faced him. Now, granted, it has been quite a while. You got to go all the way back to 2011 as a member of the New York Mets. Through a complete game, allowed 7 hits and 2 runs and a win.
Well, maybe he likes playing near his birthplace. After all, Pelfrey was born right up in Dayton on the Air Force Base, right? Patterson Air Force Base. Ended up growing up in Wichita, where he went to Wichita State University, drafted by the Mets out of there.
That is some kind of place up there, that Wright Pat Museum, if you've never had a chance to go. Very much recommended, especially taking the youngsters, but even for the adults. Twins get a run after an inning and a half. Reds have a 3-1 lead. Broken Elk. Certainly these Twins, one of the surprise teams in 2015. It's interesting to note, since 2011, only the Houston Astros have fewer wins than the Minnesota Twins. So that further emphasizes two real surprise clubs. And to give you an idea of the disparity between the Twins and the team that has been the best team in their division since 2011, the Detroit Tigers have won over 150 more games than the Minnesota Twins. That's incredible.
That is incredible. But Twins fans may say, well, they've spent a lot more money doing it, too.
Well, they have that.
There was a while there when people thought that they would try to adopt the Twins model, their style for winning. Because there was a run there between, say, 2002 and 2009 that they were in the playoffs about 5 or 6 times.
Fair ball, nice play. One away.
In fact, if you go back to really, I guess it's the one that I remember, the postseason that I remember the most is when they won the World Series. They beat the Braves in 7 games. Jack Morris pitched a 10-inning complete game in Game 7 to beat John Smoltz and the Braves 1-0. But fast forward now to the 2000s. In 2009, they lost the LDS to the Yankees, did not win a game in that series. In 2006, they lost to the A's, the LDS, did not win a game in that series. In 2004, they lost the LDS, won 1 game against the Yankees in that series. The year before, they played again, lost to the Yankees in the LDS, won only 1 game in that series. And in 2002, they finally got to the championship series in the American League. And they lost to Anaheim and won only 1 game in that series.
Yep, lost in 5. Those were the days of Johan Santana anchoring the Minnesota Twins rotation.
So they've been able to get there, but have not been able to push it through. And it's been a few years since they've gotten there. 2009, the last time they've been to the postseason. Or make it 2010, where they were also shut down in 3 games by the Yankees.
Which is why, really, and whether you're talking about the Twins of that era you're talking about in more recent years, the Oakland Athletics, it is why baseball can be very proud of the fact that with the parity that's been created, there have been a number of franchises that have reached the playoffs that are in the mid-market to small market. The small market franchise has not broken through to win the whole thing. And in fact, if you go look at the 2 teams that are meeting year in and year out in the World Series, they have been every year the big market teams. The Royals last year were the first team that got there, but again, 7 games, you say, you know, bounce here, they could have won it. It's true, but they didn't win it. The big market San Francisco Giants came away with the winner. I don't think anybody looks at the St. Louis Cardinals as a small market franchise. They might be a small television market. They are not a small market franchise.
Well, they're playing like a large market team
for a long time. Two and 2 on Billy Hamilton. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Cardinals 51 wins already, but they will not win tonight.
Because they're all sitting at home.
That's might be the reason.
Good at bat there by Billy Hamilton. He draws a 1-out walk. In fact, the Cardinals, they just blew the doors off the Cubs over the weekend. I mean, the Cubs came in there playing good baseball. They were sort of on the upswing again. And, man, they ran into the Cardinals. And, you know, for those of us that haven't seen the Cardinals in a while, I watched about, I don't know, 2 or 3 innings of one of their games over the weekend. I couldn't believe the guys in their lineup with so many injuries. All right, now we wondered about Hamilton running. There he goes. Not waiting around this time. Suzuki could not find the handle. And for Billy, number 37 on the year.
Well, he didn't wait very long, obviously, and that wasn't all that bad of a pitch to go on. It just Suzuki couldn't get the ball in and out of his glove. I don't think you're going to get Hamilton anyway. Now they better keep somebody close to second base to hold him there. And they are.
There he goes. Throw down by Suzuki. This time he got him. No, the ball squirted loose. Boy, it was there in plenty of time. Billy making contact with the glove of Trevor Plouffe, and the ball came squirting right out of there.
Well, Plouffe is nursing his left hand right now, and looks like Billy slides right into the back of the hand, and you see the ball bounce out. You know, sometimes those infielders' gloves are so hard. They're not like an outfielder's glove that kind of wraps around the ball, because you don't want that as an infielder. You want almost a very firm glove so that you can reach in and get that ball very easily. And I'm wondering if that's one of the reasons why it popped out of there, because it really doesn't grab the ball deep in the pocket like it would, say, a first baseman's glove or a center fielder's glove.
Bouncing ball, and against a drawn in infield. It's over the head of Santana. So Billy, a walk, a steal, and a run scored. The Reds lead goes back to 3. It's a 4-1 game.
Reds are doing a nice job of a little small ball tonight. A bunt hit in the first inning for Hamilton. A little looper down the right field line for De Jesus. And in this inning, a walk, a couple of steals, and a little high chopper. Boy, Pelfrey must be thinking, they haven't hit the ball hard yet. When they have, it's been an out. When I get them to beat it into the ground, it's a base hit. When I get them to hit it on the end of the bat, it's a base hit. But the problem is I can tell you as a pitcher that you know that there are a certain number of line drives that are going to be hit every night. And you really haven't seen any damaging line drives yet. And you're wondering, are they yet to come and when?
Well, for the Reds, they're thinking, why not start that right here and right now with Joey Votto. He walked and scored one of the 3 runs in the first inning, and the Reds have added another here in the second. One ball, one strike to Joey Votto.
We get a little bit of a look inside the glove of Mike Pelfrey when he gets into that set position and grips that ball like a split finger fastball. So we know what's coming in there before Votto does. This is more of a fastball look, it seems. And he misses inside. You know what happens when you start getting nickeled and dimed out there as a pitcher? You think, I've got to make even better than good pitches. I've got to make perfect pitches, because they're getting base hits off pretty good pitches. I've got to turn it up a notch. And if you can't rear back and throw harder, you're thinking, I've got to hit my corners even better than before, which of course is an impossible thing to try to do. I would imagine Votto's going to get something to hit here in the next couple of offerings.
2 balls and a strike to Joey Votto. De Jesus held over there by Maui. And Joey got a fastball right down the can for a strike. And here comes that big shift. We wondered earlier with Votto if they got to 2 strikes. And the third baseman, sure enough, goes and plugs that hole between the second baseman and the shortstop. Right up the middle. Full count. This is something that Molitor, their first-year manager, is a huge believer in, and had to sell some of his players on this very early in the year.
And his pitchers.
There's ball 4 to Votto. Well, the old adage about you can't defend the walk. 2 of them in the inning, 3 in the game now for Pelfrey. And that has not been the MO for this Minnesota pitching staff. The fewest walks in the American League.
Yeah, they give up the second most number of hits, but they give the fewest walks. And I think almost any manager would rather have it the way the Twins are doing it, because you can, as you said earlier, defend against a hit but never a walk.
Frazier knocked in his 54th run of the season. It came in the first inning. Oh, he was looking for 3 of them with 1 swing there, just a fraction late. Get down the right field line. It's out of play. And Frazier behind 0-2. Nice to hear your buddy George Grand over the weekend. He loves New York City.
Well, you know, he lives within driving distance in New York, so George did the commute from Hamden, Connecticut. It's good to sit in the booth next to George. He sure knows a lot of people.
Oh, man. 0-2 on Frazier. And George still very much connected to, you know, Cincinnati, obviously doing a large number of games here on Fox Sports Ohio. But I mean, recognizing Andrew Benintendi.
Well, of course, George is on the board there of the USA Baseball.
Yeah.
So that's the governing body that gives out the Golden Spikes Award and the whole voting process. It got to know Andrew and his family. It could not have said any more better things about that family than. And he just came away so impressed with the whole Benintendi clan that it was just really wonderful.
From Madera High School.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful little community there, Madera.
Now, did Andrew sign, and is he on his way now to play in the Red Sox minor league system yet?
He is.
Good. Good. Was talking to a couple of scouts at dinner before, and his name came up, and believe me, the fact that the Red Sox liked him, they weren't the only team that liked him.
1-2 on Frazier, and a ground ball should be 2. There's 1, and it is a double play. The Reds get a run, and at the end of 2, Reds 4, Minnesota 1. Or on demand and True HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices with MLB.TV Premium. Every night on every device. Blackout and other restrictions do apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Reds 4, Minnesota 1. Danny Santana to lead things off here in the Minnesota third against Mike Leake.
Santana, one of 2 switch hitters the Twins have in their lineup. He's a young man that had a terrific year last year. Played full time as a rookie. Batted nearly .320. Batted right at .319. Had 7 home runs and 40 driven in. And this year, the offense is still AWOL.
Well, they've had a couple of young guys, 24-year-old players, they were really counting on to make an impact through this entire year. Kenny Vargas, an outfielder, along with Danny Santana, and both of them with a major league club sent back down to the minor leagues, and Santana just brought up 3 days ago. And that's what Chris is talking about. He played 101 games last year, and they were really excited about what 2015 may bring, and unfortunately for them, they've seen a lot of that.
Well, let's pick a Cholula hot sauce flamethrower pitch of the night. Let's do it early right here. Mike Leake makes him go fishing right there, and he picks up strikeout number 2. Our flamethrower brought to you by Cholula. Nice sinking fastball from Leake. Back-to-back punch outs.
Now Dozier, 8th round draft pick. Brian Dozier in 2009 out of Southern Mississippi University. Grew up in a little town of barely over 3,000.
You think his parents at any point had any temptation to maybe nickname him Bull?
Hey, why not?
I mean, yeah.
I think it's a great idea. Maybe you ought to run it by him. Or run it by him without changing it. Comes from a very, very religious family, and he makes no bones about his faith, does Dozier. Well, he's a tough kid now. You may remember, some of you may remember, when he first came to the big leagues, he got hit in the face with a fastball that broke a number of bones around the sinus area, and he was back in 10 days.
Unbelievable. Well, he's really the guy that this offense revolves around. Having a great year. In fact, as good as his year has been, it's even been better in the last week. That's the month of June there, but he's .345 in the month of, or in the last week, and that's a pretty good pitch right there by Leake to retire him. So he's 0 for 2. And that's 3 in a row. That's a cutter. That's a cut fastball that's used perfectly by Mike Leake to throw it at the hitter essentially and have that ball break out over the plate. You think it's going to hit you one moment, next thing you know, you're being rung up.
Now Joe Mauer, longtime Minnesota catcher, Minnesota kid, #1 draft pick back in 2001. Went to the same high school as Paul Molitor. They produced a number of different football players. He grew up playing football with Terrell Suggs. Mauer was a great high school quarterback. In fact, he had committed to play collegiately for Florida State. That's back in the days when Bobby Bowden was the head coach of the Seminoles.
He's a big guy, 6'5", 225 right now. Bobby Bowden would probably had him up to about 255.
He looked like Cardale Jones. League fans aside, Reds lead 4-1.
During tonight's game, Michelle Daniels from Cincinnati. Well, you will be the winner of this beautiful new Tundra on display at Great American Ballpark. Register for your chance to win at an upcoming game by getting out and seeing your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers.
Jay Bruce, first pitch swinging. Reds leading 4-1. They bat in the last of the third inning. 3 in the first, 1 in the second. Minnesota scored its only run off Mike Leake in the second inning. Jay, a sacrifice fly, run batted in on a fly ball to center field. His first time up. Ball smoked down the right field line. Bruce on his way to second. Throw coming in by Torrey Hunter, not going to be in time, and a double to start the Reds' third by Jay Bruce.
Well, sometimes you can just tell by the sound of the ball hitting the bat, and that just must feel so good. Really, a pitch that is down. Jay Bruce has punished balls that have usually been up around belt high, but that time he goes downstairs into the left-hander's wheelhouse.
Marlon Byrd flied out to center field, his only time up tonight, and now a bleeder into center field. It's going to fall in. Bruce will be held at third base. So everything going the Reds' way so far here tonight. They've been dinking and dunking Pelfrey to death.
Well, there's no doubt about the momentum of this ball game. I mean, you get 2 hits in this inning. You scored at each of the first 2, 3 in the first, 1 in the second. Everything seems to be going your way. On the other side of it, your pitcher Mike Leake has struck out the last 4 batters he's faced. So what the Reds have been looking for here for the last few days finally beginning to roll their way.
Tucker Barnhart had a 2-out single into left field to knock in a run in the first inning. And now he bats into third with runners on the corners and nobody out. Take a look at those numbers. The series in New York, 1 of 19. Had a number of chances yesterday in both the extra inning game and then the second game to put some runs on the board, especially that carryover game from Saturday into Sunday. And already 4 such hits tonight.
You mean the game that started in the 7th inning and ended in the 13th?
Yes.
That was a frustrating day because there were numerous opportunities along the way.
Two balls and a strike. Pelfrey trying to keep it together here. He's on the brink of getting rattled around here tonight. Swung on and fouled out of play, meaning rattled around from a run scored standpoint.
And probably mentally too. I mean, this is the kind of game that works on you worse than going out there and just getting knocked around by line drives and home runs, because you feel like you're throwing the ball okay, you're hitting your spots pretty well, you're getting them out of the end of the bat, or you're getting the ball in on the hands, but you're not getting any outs.
And Tucker Barnhart's done it for a second time tonight. Shoots one the other way to drive in a run. 2 for 2 tonight for Tucker.
Tucker looks like he's been watching Tony Gwynn video. Or maybe some Sean Casey video. I mean, just taking that ball the other way and laying it right into left field and picking up another run batted in from a man from third base.
Gil Allen will come out and visit his pitcher Pelfrey on the mound. We told you before the game how good this Minnesota starting pitching has been so far this year, and certainly no one saw that coming. Not the third best ERA among all pitching staffs in the American League. So the Reds now 5 out of 8 with runners in scoring position in the game. 1 in, a 5-1 lead, 2 on, and nobody out for Suarez, who struck out looking his first time up. And that's into left center field. Will bring in another run, maybe 2. On his way to third is Barnhart. They're going to wave him around, and he will score. 2-run double by Suarez.
Well, good job by Suarez to kind of wait back on that breaking ball. Pelfrey hung it right there for him. And this has turned into a good old-fashioned feel-good game for the Reds.
And that's going to do it for Pelfrey. Paul Molitor springs from the dugout. Pelfrey 2+ innings, came in with an ERA at 3.06 in his 14 starts on the year. And the Reds touch him up for 9 hits. So far 7 earned runs. He walks 3 and strikes out a batter, and this will be our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen.
By authority of the Cincinnati Reds, it may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Reds lead 7-1, and the pride of Greensburg, Indiana, former #1 pick by the Washington Nationals, traded over to the Twins organization 1 year after being drafted, is right-hander Alex Meyer.
Yeah, he had only played in A-ball, had 1 year with them, and they decided to trade him. That is the Washington Nationals, in exchange for Denard Span. Big, tall guy, 6 feet 9 inches tall.
Now, he was ranked in the top 30 prospects in all of baseball coming into this season. He has very impressive minor league numbers, all as a starting pitcher. Now, this year got off to a terrible start as a starter. Then they moved him to the bullpen as Leake drops a perfect bunt that will advance a runner. On to third goes Suarez, 1 away in the inning. And then, Chris, they moved him to the bullpen, and he was virtually unhittable. Now you wonder what the long-term answer might be for Meyer.
That's a good question. I don't know. I haven't seen him pitch enough to know, but I would imagine that they would probably like, if he's got a good arm, and they say he does, that they would probably rather use him as a starter. You'll get more value out of the number of innings that he'll pitch and so on. If he can handle that, and if he has the, secondary pitches. Still a young guy, only 25 years old.
It's been a good night for Billy Hamilton, trying to make it even better. Now this is the kind of guy, with all the talk about will the Reds start trading away some of their big name players, especially those on the verge of free agency, this would be the kind of guy that could be part of the mix in coming back the other way. I don't mean specifically Alex Meyer, but a #1 draft choice, maybe a year or two into his professional career, that could be part of a package of players coming back the other way. And that's precisely what happened in the Nationals deal with Denard Span.
And look how long the Twins had to wait until they finally got this young man in the major leagues. They traded for him in the fall or the winter of 2012. So the first year he played for the Twins organization was 2013. And here he is. And some people even think right now rush to the major leagues. Not really ready yet at age 25.
Got a very awkward delivery and not a pitch in that at bat near the strike zone to Billy Hamilton.
Well, a real long arm delivery. I mean, after all, he is 6 feet 9 inches tall, 2 inches taller than the starter that he took the place of. And in order to get that ball out in front of you, you've really got to get your arm swing either quicker or your body a little bit slowed down. He was flying open on each and every delivery he had to Hamilton. I would imagine from his arm angle, though, that he doesn't make right-handed hitters feel really all that comfortable.
Hamilton already a pair of stolen bases in the game. Billy has 38 of them, which is the same number he had at the All-Star break last year. The most stolen bases ever by a Red at the All-Star game was Eric Davis in 1986. He had 42 of them. So Hamilton more than an outside shot to better ED's 42. And he's gunning for 39, and he'll get it. 3 for 3 tonight.
Well, he kept inching off the base right there. Hamilton did. You just knew he was going. And I kind of doubt very much that Alex Meyer has a real quick move to first. So every time DeJesus has come up, Billy Hamilton has been on base.
Well, look at the first 3 hitters in the order. Not one time have they been retired. And you're talking 7 plate appearances. Hamilton, 1 for 1, 2 walks, 2 runs scored, 3 stolen bases. DeJesus 2 out of 2. Couple of hits, a run scored, a run batted in. Votto's walked twice. And a run scored. 2-1 to Ivan. Suarez a 2-run double in his 3-run third. Reds trying to add to a 7-1 lead here in the last of the 3rd inning. And it's 3 balls and 2 strikes. Votto watching this payoff pitch to DeJesus, and they're loaded for Votto with 1 out in the inning.
They're just trying to calm this young guy down. A tough situation here. And Suzuki takes a little time out there, maybe just to try to break the momentum of the inning up. But I'm not sure what Alex Meyer might be thinking. Bases loaded. He looks up, and Joey Votto, who I'm sure he saw play while he was attending the University of Kentucky, is in the batter's box.
Frazier fouls, or Votto fouls it off out of play. Joey, the 8th red to bat here in this 3rd inning. They sent 8 to the plate in a 3-run first. Bases loaded. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Joey Votto. Breaking ball miss the outside corner. That will even the count. Big pitch coming up right here.
Well, I would imagine Votto and everybody else in the house here knows this is going to be a fastball. He's got a pretty good arm, Meyer does. 96 is where it's registered. Another breaking ball. Wow.
Well, he's walked the last 2 batters.
I mean, that's a case of the catcher, and I guarantee you, Kurt Suzuki is calling the pitches here for this young man. It's a case of the catcher does not believe him that 96 is good enough to get Votto out. Now he's got to throw a strike with it.
3rd time Votto has faced a 3-2 count. That ball driven into deep left field, and that will sail over the head of Escobar. 2 more runs are going to score, and the Reds lead 9-1.
That ball carried a lot farther than I think Eduardo Escobar thought it would. Votto went down to get it, a fastball on a 3-2 count. Everybody's running. But still, the ball played well by the left fielder. It bounces off the wall, and I guess it wasn't played all that well, but he got it back in quickly enough to limit the damage. I'm surprised they weren't playing a little bit deeper, just knowing Votto was at the plate and he was going to get a fastball. That's about the time you start backing up.
Well, now Todd Frazier. Straight up in the air and out of play.
Well, because DeJesus could not get the 3rd base on that ball by Votto. Votto get a single on that.
Eight of the 9 runs charged to the Minnesota starter Mike Pelfrey in his 2+ innings tonight. Breaking ball hit off the end of the bat, foul. 0-2 on Frazier. Frazier leads the National League in extra base hits. He is just having a monster year. Tied for the league lead in runs scored, 2nd in home runs, 3rd in doubles, 4th in slugging percentage, 5th in runs batted in. gets 63,000 votes. He trails Matt Carpenter to be the starting third baseman for the National League All-Star team right here in his home ballpark, July the 14th. And he's rung up on strikes for the second out of this inning.
He thinks the bat was taken out of his hand right there. He's still looking back and saying, come on, that ball was low. Our Fox Tracks has it at the lower end of the strike zone. An awkward way, I think, that Suzuki caught that ball, too. You know, a lot of times hitters, they won't complain quite as much about the first strike or the second strike. But when they get rung up on a pitch that they really don't believe was a strike, they feel like the bat was just taken right out of their hands.
Well, here's a man who started this entire party. Jay Bruce with that rocket double down the right field line. Scored the first of what has been a 5-run third inning. Good fastball there in the outside corner in 96.
This is only Alex Meyer's second game as a major leaguer. Pitched an inning in 2/3 in his first outing, gave up 3 hits, 4 runs, and 2 homers. And he obviously is getting caught into ball games that are on the verge of being runaways, and this has become exactly that with a 5 spot here in the 3rd.
We talk about that All-Star celebration, and part of it is on that All-Star Sunday on July the 12th, where they play the celebrity softball game, and they also play the Futures game. And we've talked about how Ken Griffey Jr. will manage the American team, and Tony Perez will manage Ken Griffey Sr. Tony Perez will manage the World team. Alex Meyer pitched in that Futures game a year ago in his home ballpark. That was at Target Field. And the Reds will have Kyle Waldrop, Yorman Rodriguez, and where am I drawing a blank? They have one more, I thought.
The left-handed pitcher, Amir Garrett.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. That was a guy you had your eye on in spring training.
Big guy that just now has concentrated on baseball. He was a basketball player at St. John's in college. Got a little late start. And his numbers are improving down in the Reds minor leagues. I think he is still pitching in Daytona, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, he's having quite a year. Or a big recent run. 3-2 now on Jay Bruce. Runners will get started with 2 away. 3-2 on Jay Bruce. In the air, straight away center. It'll back up Rosario, but this should end the inning. 10 bat, 5 score. Reds lead 9-1 at the end of 3. Torrey Hunter, a first-round pick back in 1993 by the Minnesota Twins. Of course, he's bounced around after a number of years with Minnesota. Look where he ranks among active players. Second most seasons, third most games, fifth most hits. He has had a great career and really has handled himself off the field almost as flawlessly as on the field. Was thrilled when he had a chance to come back to Minnesota on a one-year contract this year. Was very close with their longtime general manager Terry Ryan, and Terry Ryan believes that one day Torrey Hunter could take his job. That one smoked and will roll all the way to the wall in left center field, and Hunter with a double to start the fourth inning.
Now, one thing you cannot do even with an 8-run lead is just go out there and pump fastballs. Hunter grounded at the second base his first time and got that ball down and in and just dropped the head. You know what Hunter has done, according to a number of people who travel with the Twins, is that he's brought a little bit of life to this clubhouse. You know, one of the complaints about the Twins last year was that they were just so blah. They were vanilla. I mean, there was no bad things going on in the clubhouse, but there was just no fun vibe going on. And he brought in a little policy of every night at home after a win, they'd have a little celebration before they open the clubhouse to the press. They have a little disco ball that they put lights on, and they send up some kind of smoke and so on and make it seem like a little dance action, and they celebrate the Twins star of the game, whoever that may be, on, you know, voted on by the players. And they have a little fun every night to do that. And they feel that he has made a difference in that way, that in trying to show these young guys who are, some of these guys are, you know, 23, 24 years old in the major leagues for the first time, and their eyes are bigger than anything else. They don't know how to act, and they don't know how to have fun because they're afraid of stepping out of line. And it takes a veteran to show them, hey, you play your best ball when you're relaxed, and when you're having fun, you're relaxed.
That'll fall in a base hit. Bird able to cut it off. That's a nice play made by Marlon Bird, holding Plouffe to just a single, but it's a run scoring single to make it a 9-2 Reds lead.
Well, they're not going to take any chances on the base paths at this point. The Twins aren't. Hunter comes around to score on that, and you know, it's one of those games that every pitcher, if you pitch long enough, you've been in one where your team scores a bunch of runs. And now you have to go out there and you have to convince yourself that you're in a tight ball game. That you look at the scoreboard, it's not really 9-2, it's 3-2. And that's the way you have to talk yourself into pitching. And sometimes it's very difficult to do that. And then you find yourself into a ball game that you may get the win, but you may end up giving up more runs than you ever wanted to give up, because you pitched with a little bit less edge than there would be in a tight contest.
Nine runs already, 10 hits for the Reds, 2 runs, 4 hits for Minnesota. Plouffe at first, nobody out. 0-1 to Rosario. And now 0-2. Sounded like he broke his bat, and that's because he did. He's walking over to get a new one from the bat boy, who will trot it out from the dugout. is now the final team of those in the American League Central Division, and that is the division the Reds play during interleague play this season. They beat Detroit 2 out of 3, and by the way, they've announced a makeup date for that final game against the Tigers, which was rained out. Reds earlier in the year got beat up in Cleveland. They lost 2 of 3 against the White Sox in Chicago, and of course they were swept in a 2-game series against Kansas City. That one skips right by Suarez, and the first 3 have reached on base hits against Leake here in the 4th inning.
Well, Mike Leake must be asking himself, last inning didn't I strike out the side, and now we can't get anybody out.
The Reds have 1 more game against Detroit. They have 3 more games against the Indians. That's the first series after the All-Star break. That'll be here. And they have 2 more games left to play against the Kansas City Royals. That will be the 3rd week of August. Grounded foul by Suzuki. And we talked about that Tigers date. For those of you curious, perhaps you had a ticket for that game, or you're interested in seeing that game. The Reds have a scheduled off day on August the 24th. That is a Monday night. That's in between home series against Arizona and the Dodgers. August the 24th is now the makeup game with the Detroit Tigers. 0-2 on Suzuki.
You know, when a ball club goes to try to reschedule a game like that, there are a lot of things that go into making the decision. One of which is the Players Association rule with the owners in the CBA, the basic agreement, where you can't play more than 20 games in a row. So by putting that game where it is, there'll be 16 games in a row that the Reds will play when they take that off that way.
So, I mean, you're getting a whole potpourri now on that homestand. If you're interested in seeing some pretty good baseball, you've got Kansas City for a couple of games. Arizona's having a pretty good year. I think they're another one of those surprise teams in baseball. You get the Tigers for 1 game. So you got Kansas City for 2, Arizona for 4, Detroit for 1, and then the Dodgers come in for a 3-game series. Gets away from Barnhart, throw to third. That's a nice play by Frazier, because that did not have much on it. On to throw down to third. That'll be a wild pitch charged to Mike Leake.
Kind of a desperate throw by Barnhart. He only threw it because he saw the runner got a late break. Breaking ball, he couldn't have done much better as far as book style of trying to block that ball, but he was falling backwards as he threw it.
On the corners, nobody out. That's strike 3 to Suzuki. 5 strikeouts in the game now for Mike Leake. 1 out in the inning.
Suzuki, an all-star for the first time last year, chases looks like either a cutter or a slider. Looks like probably a cutter upstairs, and just gets a little bit behind it. That's a big out. So ground ball double play right here gets Mike Leake right out of the inning.
Twins have action in their bullpen. Right-hander J.R. Graham is ready to go, and they have the pitcher spot due up next. They're trailing 9-2. We're only in the 4th inning. Here's Escobar. He walked his first time up. That ball driven into right center field. A long run for Jay Bruce and Billy Hamilton. Don't know what happened to Hamilton. He fell down. 1 run scores, and Hamilton just now getting up.
I think hopefully he just slipped. Well, with one out, I think that the runner at first base thought that maybe Jay Bruce or somebody was going to get that ball. I think Hamilton just falls when he tries to put the brakes on right there, and that's all that happened is that grass went out from underneath him. It rained all morning long.
Kenny Vargas, highly touted young player for the Twins. He's been up and down with a big league club to the minor leagues, brought back up again. And it's Jeff Pico who's going to come out for a visit. Boy, the Twins have hit the ball hard in this inning off Mike Leake.
Well,
4 hits.
Mike's got to feel fortunate that they don't have another run in. They're getting down to the order, and the number 8 spot for the Twins is the pitcher spot. And Paul Molitor, their manager, has been so quick to embrace the unusual type of defense. You know, the shifting of defense, moving players in the middle of the at-bat. He's also taken a little bit of a style maybe out of the book of Joe Madden or Brian Price batting the pitcher in the 8 spot.
Well, here's Vargas, second and third, still only 1 out.
That looks a little like Big Papi.
Sure does. And of course, Big Papi started his career with Minnesota, and they didn't want him anymore.
They might like to reconsider that.
Well, this guy has put up some very impressive seasons in the minor leagues. A couple of years ago, 19 home runs, 93 batted in, 33 doubles in last year between the minor leagues and brought up to the major leagues for the first time at 25 home runs and knocked in 101 runs. Only 24 years old, out of Puerto Rico. Broken bat pop-up. Yikes. 2 away in the inning.
290-pound man hit that ball.
Well, you're tough. Kroger and the Reds are proud to offer you up a great value again this year called the Kroger Meal Deal. Check concession stands around the ballpark. Get a hot dog, bag of chips, 16-ounce Coke. During this homestand, cheese it crunched all for $9. A Kroger Meal Deal. Two away in the inning, and here's Danny Santana. Reds lead 9-3. We are in the 4th inning. Santana struck out his first time up. Breaking ball to Dandy.
Boy, this is all about saving earned runs right here from Mike Leake. The last thing you want is to leave this inning being a 9-5 game.
Well, it's a 9-4 game. Here comes the second runner. Throw to the plate. He'll be held. Throw down to second base, and the runner is safe there. So it's 9-4. And I tell you what, Twins are getting back in this thing.
Well, that was a pretty good swing right there by Danny Santana. Young man that hit over 300 last year. His batting average dropped about 100 points from last year to this year. But he gets essentially a cookie on the outer third thigh high. Those are good hitting for just about everybody.
This is a big at bat in this ball game. Leake was spotted to a 9-1 lead. And all of a sudden you have really the Twins' best all-around player so far this season. Up to the plate in Dozier. Strike called on the outside corner. Now Mike has had his way with the Minnesota Twins second baseman tonight. 0 for 2, a ground ball to third and a strikeout. 0-2.
Boy, Dozier just doesn't seem like he sees the ball off a leak. He was struck out on a pitch. Nice block by Barnhart on that, but he struck out on a pitch that knocked him off the plate. He thought it was going to hit him, and then Leak got it in there on the corner for strike 3. That was the strikeout. The first out was a ground out.
Second and third, 2 away, 3 runs home here in the Minnesota 4th inning. In the air, left field. Marlon Bird backs up to the warning track, and it is gone. A 3-run home run by Dozier, and we said it a minute ago, it might have been the biggest at bat of the game for Leak. And a 9-1 lead is down to 2 runs. It is 9-7 after the 3-run home run by Dozier.
Boy, this is especially hurtful because you had Dozier right where you wanted him. You had him on an 0-2 count. He was chasing a ball in the dirt on the last time you looked up there, and you throw a mistake pitch right in his wheelhouse.
And Dozier saying, I love Great American Ballpark, because that ball is caught in front of the warning track in Minnesota. Dozier now has 16 home runs and even 40 runs batted in. A 6-run inning against Mike Leake. One and one to Joe Mauer. Right-hander Nate Adcock begins to crank it up in the Reds bullpen. There's another base hit. Mauer will stay put.
Boy, is that classic Joe Mauer right there. I mean, if there's one person in the major leagues that can hit the ball the other way any better than Joe Mauer, I've not seen him yet. Most teams really shift, the opposite shift Mauer. Of course, it helps that that ball's elevated a little bit, and it was. Mike Leake's throwing everything about belt high right now.
9 men have come to the plate in this inning, and 7 of them have base hits against Leake, including a home run and a pair of doubles. Brian Price hoping that Leake can find a way to get the final out. Here's a guy that started this 6-run inning, Torrey Hunter. You didn't think much of it at the time when Hunter hit a laser out there that bounced off the wall in front of the Reds bullpen for a double in a 9-1 game. And mercifully, the inning comes to an end. 9-1 is down to 9-7, and a long way to go.
Be right here at GABP. Don't miss the 86 All-Star Game coverage, 7 Eastern, July 14th on Fox. I'm Jim Dan. We've told you that the Reds are putting in a new scoreboard in time for the All-Star Game coming up on July 4th. It's out in right field. A lot of balls hitting the outfield so far, and perhaps you've noticed them in the shots that they have up all the panels on the 90 by 30 big board LED screen. They're going to do some manicuring around those panels later on this week. They've got some wiring to put in, but their goal is to have that functional sometime during this homestand. If everything goes all right, they want to get it game ready, use it in a game, but book it. It'll be ready by July 14th, and it's going to be a great addition to the stadium.
It's just fascinating to me, and fans are probably tired of hearing me talk about it. I have just been in disbelief when they made the announcement in conjunction with our friends over at Procter & Gamble that this thing was going to happen, and that it was going to happen before the All-Star Game. And then we were here the last time, and you saw no sign outside of the original foundation that had gone up. And when I pulled around the corner to the ballpark today and saw the actual board itself completed, put together, I talked to a couple of guys who work here at the stadium year-round employees here in the different trades, and they said, man, it was something to watch over the weekend. Marlon Byrd gone swinging. We told you the new pitcher is right-hander J.R. Graham, already the third pitcher used in the game tonight by Minnesota. 21st game. This guy's done a nice job.
Well, he gets a first batter strikeout. And if you're Paul Molitor, you want nothing more than a nice clean inning to kind of keep the momentum of this ball game going your way.
Well, first pitch swinging is Tucker Barnhart, 2 for 2 with a couple of runs batted in. It's a fly ball to center, and you're talking about a clean and quick inning, 2 up, 2 down.
You know, the thing that amazes me about the scoreboard, Tom, is the fact that I don't know how long the lead time was from the time they decided that they were going to put one up. Well, where do you get one like that? I mean, does somebody have that sitting around in their warehouse waiting for a phone call?
I was told that basically, and I don't know the precise, precisely how many pieces, but basically, yeah, is that when they make this in the manufacturing part of it, it's about 4 pieces of it that basically, kind of like Legos, they snap the thing together and all the wiring that comes along with it. And so it's a lot more complicated than I'm making it sound, but I was told in layman's terms that that's basically the way it comes, and that you get a crane, and they had that out there over the weekend along Mering Way, and you assemble the 4 and you up it goes, and there it is. I couldn't believe it when I saw it up today. Now, did you notice it when you came in late last night?
I did not notice it last night. We come right in underneath the stadium and never really drive by there, but I certainly noticed it when I came into the ballpark today.
Yeah, they have
when that is up and running, it is really going to be cool.
Oh, man. Base hit by Suarez into center field, a 2-out single. And Leake's going to bat. Of course, that's not a guarantee that Leake is going to stay in the game to pitch.
No, we've seen it happen a number of times where Brian Price will send up one of his pitchers, especially either Mike Leake or Michael Lorenzen, to hit for themselves and then use a reliever. But I got to think the Leake is probably still in the ballgame. Although we got somebody down in the bullpen. Is it Joe?
Still Adcock, yeah. He's still throwing down there. Runner takes off. And Suarez with a stolen base. He's 2 for 2.
Well, the Reds will find a weakness in whatever it may be on the other team as far as trying to shut down the running game. And they're going to take advantage of it and whenever they can.
1-1 strike. 2 outs to Leake. And now 1-2. Two members of his Minnesota bullpen came over as Rule 5 picks to this franchise. And that was a story on Graham. It's been a pretty savvy move for this team so far. He strikes out Leake. End of 4. We have a ball game. Reds lead 9-7. By Meyer. Find more for a healthier you at Meyer. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on the U.S. News and World Report's best children's hospitals in America. Look at beautiful downtown Cincinnati, home of Major League Baseball's All-Star Game. 2 weeks from tomorrow. 2 weeks from tonight, they'll have the big home run derby. And we're less than 2 weeks away from really all the festivities in and around town, including Fan Fest, which gets underway July the 10th. And now on to pitch. Mike Leake, despite giving a 9-1 win, cannot win the game. It's 9-7, and he'll give way to Nate Adcock.
This is a reliever's dream right here. When you come into a ball game where all you have to do is hold them for probably an inning or two, it could be even just an inning. And in the eyes of the official score, he'll be the one who makes the decision if the Reds hold on, don't lose the lead, and so on. But Nate Adcock will get the chance.
So this Reds bullpen, knock on wood, and you're hoping you're not speaking too soon, but certainly showing more than just signs of starting to come together. You know, you go back through the first 2 months of the year, well, month and a half, a 5.18 ERA in 113 innings for this Reds bullpen. Over the last month, that earned run average is down to 2.40, roughly the exact same number of innings. 113 versus 112 2/3, a 1-out differential, and a 2.5, nearly 2.75 run differential per 9 innings allowed. That's significant. Well, there is very little doubt about the arm, the right arm of one Nate Adcock. Question is, Chris, can he throw enough strikes?
Well, that's a big thing right there. And you know, the bullpen, Tom, to get back to the point about that, is that sometimes the telltale sign for a team bullpen overall is the number of innings that bullpen has to pitch. And it always seems like teams that have good starting pitching who go deep into games also have good bullpen guys, because they never really get overexposed or worn out.
One out in the inning.
Right now the Reds are really all not that bad as far as the number of innings that their bullpen has been taxed so far this year. They are 6th in the league in least number of innings pitched. The Mets are the best, the Dodgers, the Cardinals, the Nationals, and the Braves, and then the Reds. You just look at Nate Adcock, and he does have a good arm, but he's got a lot of moving parts in that delivery, and some of it lends itself to being, distracting, hiding the ball a little bit. But at the same time, it could lend itself to inconsistency in the strike zone.
Took a little off right there, and had Rosario out in front, 0-2.
Nice changeup, little diving action.
Very good night so far for Rosario. And Adcock ahead at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Single to right, single to center, run scored for the Minnesota center fielder. This is the first of 3. Night game tomorrow night. Reds Live gets underway at 6:30. And then no television for the series finale. Tickets are available. That'll be a 12:35 tilt. Johnny Cueto v. right-hander Trevor May. That could be the final start. Could be. We don't know. We don't run the team. We never know what happens between now and then. But the Twins gave out the largest free agent contract they have ever given to a player during the offseason, Irvin Santana. And then after they signed him, he's suspended 80 games. And he is due to come off that suspended list the next turn through the rotation.
That's like making a midseason trade.
You're not lying about that.
I did talk to Paul Molitor a little bit about him, and I said, well, what do you suggest, or what do you think is going to be the response from the fans and the team, when he comes back? Because I think everybody was just stunned. Because here's a guy with a whole bunch of money in the bank. He's been pitching and pitching well for a long time, and really the only thing after he signed that contract, guaranteed, that would keep him from getting paid that guaranteed money would be being suspended for using drugs. And that's what he did. The Molitor said, well, people in Minnesota, they're forgiving people.
Well, we mentioned earlier, he would know. He's born and raised there.
With the high school right there, with the college, University of Minnesota. #1 draft pick in 1977, 3rd pick overall. That's the year I was drafted. Talked about that with him today too. I said, Paul, you got drafted near the top and you stayed right there. I got drafted at the bottom.
Oh, stop.
And I stayed right there.
Come on. You made it to the big leagues, for crying out loud. Come on. Molitor tells a story about when he was a little kid. And a lot of fans still do this now. You get them, I get them. We don't get them the volume the players get them, but you get letters from fans asking for your autograph. They come in the mail. Comes right here to Great American Ballpark, but he would write all his favorite Minnesota Twins letters to the ballpark asking for a signature, and he kept getting back those stamped things. The old stamps he used to have. A couple of guys, though, used to send them to him.
You mean the stamped autograph where you'd have a stamp with your autograph on it?
Yeah. A couple of his favorites did not do it, and that's why they stayed his favorites, including one of the most wonderful people that I ever had the pleasure of knowing, the late, great Harmon Killebrew. Not a finer man you'll ever meet. Unfortunately, we lost him in recent years, and boy, was he something. Well, there's an at-bat that got away from Adcock. And now the tying run will come to the plate.
Can you imagine the shift in emotions with those two guys we just showed you in the dugout, Brian Price and Jeff Pico?
No.
I mean, at one moment they're looking at the scoreboard and it is 9-1. They're thinking they're flying high. Thank goodness we're getting hitting with runners in scoring position. Our pitcher just struck out 4 in a row. He's on a roll. Tying run at the plate.
Kurt Suzuki has bounced into a double play and struck out. Rosario 5 of 7 in the stolen base department this year. Throw down a second with the runner going, and they got him.
A real fine job by Tucker Barnhart right there. I thought Rosario had a pretty good jump. Ball pretty much right on the money. Rosario's still hanging out there at second base. Did anybody tell him that he is out?
Well, they're looking at it in the Minnesota clubhouse.
We were told when we were in the replay review room in New York last week, Jim Day and I had a terrific opportunity to go and visit, that the opposing team, or the team that wants to ask for a review, has about 30 seconds to make that decision.
They want to know if DeJesus actually applied the tag, and they're going to challenge his call.
Well,
they're wondering if that first attempt to make the tag by DeJesus actually made contact with the runner Rosario, because if it didn't, it looked like by the time he for sure made a tag up around the chest, that Rosario may have had a foot in there.
It's funny because Rosario was so late getting to the bag here that the swipe tag may have already gone past. Well, we'll see how it goes. Well, they're going to look at different reviews. I can tell you, Tom, from sitting in the hot seat there in the review room, you look at one angle, you have 12 to choose from. So you're asking the techs to give you all the different ones you think are pertinent. Some from the home TV side, from the visiting TV side, some internal cameras here at the ballpark. You're slowing them down. You're going back frame by frame. You're asking an opinion of maybe another umpire, saying, all right, well, where do you have the tag and where do you have his foot? What hits first? And believe me, it looks like it's easy until they look at you and say, we're already 2 minutes into this. We are now 3 minutes into this. Now, while we sit here at the ballpark, it seems like eternity. When you're sitting in that chair, it goes by in a hurry.
Oh, I bet.
And Jim Day was in that chair. He can tell you the same thing.
Well, we're still waiting.
Molitor, let's get back to Molitor for a second, because the career that he had was just an incredible incredible offensive career. 21 years in the major leagues. 17 with the Brewers, 3 with the Twins, 3 at the very end of his career with the Toronto Blue Jays, where he was the MVP in one of their World Series championships.
Yeah, 93.
He began as a shortstop. But when Robin Yount came back from retirement, they said, you know, we really like you a lot, Paul Molitor, but you're moving to second base. He said, fine, no problem. And Yount came back and played shortstop after he returned there. And in 1987, Molitor had a 39-game hitting streak. And they're playing the Cleveland Indians that night. And he's 0 for. And they've got the winning run in scoring position, and Rick Manning gets a base hit to drive in the winning run, and the Milwaukee Brewers beat the Indians. And the fans booed Rick Manning for getting the base hit, because left in the on-deck circle was Paul Molitor trying to get 40 games in a row on his hit streak.
How about that? Well, it's a good thing you told that story, you and Jim Day checking it out, because somebody is saying in somebody's ear back there in New York, hey, you know, this is taking now 3 minutes.
Is that 3 New York minutes or 3 Cincinnati minutes?
It's a good question.
We assumed that we saw it at the first look that it was a no-doubter. And this is what they're looking at, I can guarantee you.
I mean, if you have to look at it this long, I mean, I really believe this. If you have to look at it this long, then you've not seen an angle that can force you to overturn this call. I mean, you would have seen something significant enough that says we're not going to confirm it, or we're going to confirm it, or it's going to stand. But to overturn it, it can't take this long, can it?
Well, we're going to find out.
Well, it took that long. Shows you what I know.
Well, you know, the bottom line is when you go into the review mode in that room, and one of the techs will ask you, would you bet your house on it? Before you overturn the call, would you bet your house on it? And if you can't answer yes, you don't overturn the call.
4 minutes and 16 seconds. That's Cincinnati. 4 minutes and 16 seconds. All right. Stolen base in for Rosario, and a good challenge here by Paul Molitor and the Twins. So Suzuki, the batter. And now the runners at third. So a runner 90 feet away from making this a one-run ball game. And you talked about being asked the question, would you bet your house on it? I don't think Paul Molitor would have bet his house on the Twins coming back from 9-1 down.
You might say
foul 1-2.
When you're down 9-1 and you bring it back to 9-7, you might say you're playing with house money. Your turn.
I like that. That's good. I like that a lot. Nothing better than a little house money. One and two on Suzuki. Every position in the batting order except for the pitcher for the Reds has reached base in this game. For the Twins, Suzuki's spot outside of the pitcher, the only not to reach base. And he's gone swinging, and that's a big strikeout for Nate Adcock and the Reds. Escobar has walked and knocked in a run with a double to right center field. That came in the 6-run 4th inning. Nice play by Adcock, and the inning is over. A scoreless inning for Nate. Reds bat in the bottom of the 5th, leading 9-7. FIFA Women's World Cup semifinal comes your way. Alex Morgan, Team USA, taking on Germany. A trip to the final on the line. Coverage begins tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, only on your local Fox station here in Greater Cincinnati. That's WXIX 19. And also streaming live on Fox Sports Go. But check your local listings for your local Fox affiliate throughout Reds country. Reds lead 9-7. J.R. Graham still on the mound. He faces Billy Hamilton, who's had a perfect night back in that leadoff spot. A bunt single, scored a run in the first, walked to the second, stole third, scored. Walked to the third, stole second, scored again. Two 2-0 on Hamilton. Hamilton with an on-base percentage of .264. Here he's walked twice in the game tonight. Coming into the game, he had walked a total of 15 times this entire year. And you're talking about a player with 250 at-bats.
Well, I can guarantee you, Tom, and you would obviously would have to agree that the first thing, when you're reviewing the Cincinnati Reds, that you cover is with your pitching staff as far as the scouting report is you do not walk Billy Hamilton, period. There's no discussion.
Tapper down at third, and Hamilton just beat the throw. He just chopped that ball right into the ground. And Chris, this has been something you've been talking about for a long, long time.
I just want to see him be pesky at the plate. And they're playing already in on him anyway, trying to take the bunt away. He gets a break on this one because the ball goes essentially into foul territory. But I mean, he busted down the line, and those are his assets. Those two legs that he's standing on. I mean, sitting back and trying to hit the ball into the gap is not his game plan. It may never be his game. We'll get
Hamilton 3 for 3 in stolen base attempts. You take a look at his lead down there in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. He has 39 stolen bases, has been thrown out 6 times.
Graham's paying a lot of attention to him. Graham is kind of an interesting story in himself. Jarrett was picked up from the Braves as a Rule 5 draft. You said that earlier, Tom, but he has never pitched in AAA. He got only as high as AA last year as a starter. Comes to big leagues as a reliever. I imagine he's in here for a while.
Of course, the Reds made a similar kind of pickup with a guy who had roots in the Minnesota Twins organization and came back to him later, Jared Burton.
That's right.
If I'm not mistaken, he had never pitched higher than A-ball when the Reds made him a Rule 5 pick. He came from Oakland, right? If I remember right. And then went to Minnesota and really had a nice career with the Minnesota Twins. Funny how things work out like that. I remember when the Reds picked up Burton, he looked very good in spring training. The team was still training in Sarasota back in those days. And in his first couple of games with the Reds, he did not pitch well at all. First time in the big leagues. Wound up going on the disabled list. And then by the time he came back, Pete Buchanan had taken over as the Reds interim manager. The story goes that he looked at Dick Pole one night in Shea Stadium, old Shea Stadium, and said, that's when the Reds bullpen was just brutal that year. And Dick Pole was a pitching coach, and Pete Buchanan said, who are you going to give the ball to that can get somebody out? And, Dick Pole looks at him and says, well, the only guy down there that hadn't, that really hadn't gotten a shot is Burton. We just activated him. And you may remember he came on the rest of that year as one of the best pitchers, relief pitchers in the league.
He did come from Oakland. He did have a good run, and he's still pitching. He's still pitching right now in the minor leagues for Dave Miley and the New York Yankees.
Going down the right field line, and what a catch by Hunter, sliding into foul territory.
Well, they were playing him that way, figuring that he was going to shoot that ball that way, but I can't believe he made that catch. That ball sliding away from him, kind of coming off the bat of a right-hander with a little cut on it. 39 years old, that's a pretty good effort.
Well, some may remember. I mean, it's been a while now. You got to go all the way back to the 2002 All-Star game. And Torrey Hunter made one of the greatest defensive plays in the history of the All-Star game, taking away a home run from Barry Bonds. He was playing center field. Ichiro Suzuki had given up on a ball in the right center. Suzuki was a right fielder. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, came flying into the air Torrey Hunter. And I remember that look on Barry Bonds' face as he just stared out into right center field at Hunter in a state of disbelief. Boy, think about how long ago that is now. If I remember right, that was the All-Star game and ended in a tie. in 2002. That was in Miller Park in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure that's right. Ball one to Joey Votto. Shoots it off foul to the third base side out of play. Good night for Joey tonight. Walk, 2-run single, has scored a run.
Joey really one of the few players on this ball club that did not get off to a horrendous start of the season in the month of April. He got off very hot. And then the high 380s, 390s early in the year, almost all the way through to the month of April. His low water mark came towards the end of May, right around 275, and he's got that bumped up now to 286 with a hit tonight.
Runner goes. Kept the foot on the bag. Stolen base number 40 for Billy Hamilton. So he is 2 away from the Reds' franchise record at the All-Star break for stolen bases. Eric Davis had 42 in '86.
You know, we really haven't seen Billy do too much of that inching off the bag and making his lead a little bit bigger just incrementally. But he just have started that recently, and that's an effective thing when you think that a right-handed pitcher especially doesn't see you all that well over there.
2-1 the count now on Votto. Hard hit ball to right of the second baseman. 2 out. Hamilton on the third. We are only in the bottom of the 5th inning. We have a long way to go in this one. Teams have combined for 21 hits, 16 runs. And Todd Frazier would like to add to both of those totals. Frazier 1 for 3, knocked in the first run of the game with a single to left field in the first inning. Has since bounced into a double play and struck out. Graham got some giddy up on that fastball now. That one last one at 96 miles per hour. Chased a fastball up and away and lifts a fly ball routine for Hunter, and the inning is over. Hamilton stranded at third. We've played just 5. 9-7 Reds in front.
On the field tonight are the hosts of back-to-back All-Star games. Let's give you another All-Star spotlight. We'll take you back to last year. Derek Jeter's last All-Star game of a storied career. And the first All-Star game held at Target Field in Minneapolis. And Mike Trout was the man on this night. Hit an RBI triple in the first, scoring Derek Jeter. American League scored 3 runs in the first, and then Trout solidified his MVP in the 5th when he broke up a tie with an RBI double that put the American League ahead for good, 5-3. American League has won 13 of the last 17 All-Star games, and man, were the Reds well represented last year. Frazier, Mesoraco, Cueto, Chapman, Simon were all All-Stars last year.
And you know, the first thing, Jim Day, that jumps out at me of that video is not Mike Trout, it's not Derek Jeter. It's blue skies and sunshine, which we are praying for here in Cincinnati during that entire All-Star week. Certainly that Monday night and that Tuesday night home run derby, and the following night the game itself. Adcock for his second inning of work. Shane Robinson. Saw him over the last number of years for the St. Louis Cardinals. He's in there to pinch hit. Graham did a good job. Graham gave him 2 innings. Quieted everything down. First 2 scoreless innings of a night for the Reds. He allowed 2 hits, no runs. Struck out 2 and did not walk a batter. Robinson, Santana, and Dozier. Dozier capped off that 6-run 4th inning with a 2-out, 2-strike home run to the seats in left field off Mike Leake. We said at the time when Dozier made his way to the plate that it could have been the biggest at bat of the night for the Twins. And sure enough, that one swing of the bat put him right back in this game. Reds still lead by 2. Hancock issued a walk in the 5th when it wound up stranded at third base. Still 3-2 on Robinson. Cardinals off tonight, Cubs off tonight, Pirates off tonight, Milwaukee playing in Philadelphia. What do you think of that whole Ryan Sandberg thing?
Kind of weird, isn't it?
Really weird.
I think they're in for some major changes there. That goes way beyond just the field manager. I did not expect the timing of it to happen when it did.
You know, Sandberg was a guy you may remember who walked away from baseball as a player. I was working for the Cubs at the time, and I mean, you talk about coming out of left field. All of a sudden, your biggest star on the team is there one day, walks in the door, and is gone the next. Three-2 on Robinson. And Shane hanging around. Twins have the right-hander Ryan Presley ready in their bullpen. Pitch number 9, and this at bat coming up to Shane Robinson. Hancock with a 3-2 count. And there'll be a 10 pitch in this at bat.
Neither of the participants in this particular matchup Robinson and Adcock feel like they don't impress me as wanting to get a decision right here. Adcock takes his time. Robinson takes his time. These guys are throwback players all the way to 2014.
And Robinson wins the battle. This Minnesota bench has just been abysmal this year. I mean, you are really doing them a favor by walking anybody when they send up a pinch hitter. Granted, they don't use pinch hitters as frequently as we know in the American League, but their pinch hitters are 3 for 29 coming into the game tonight. Santana has struck out, singled to drive in a run, and scored in that 6-run 4th inning. Robinson 3 of 4 in stolen base attempts so far this season. Robinson, a guy who put up big stolen base numbers in the minor leagues, coming up with a, I beg your pardon, not so big at all. There's a bunt. And Adcock will throw out Santana, who puts down the sacrifice. I'd like to remind you that on the next Reds Weekly, he was the first African American to wear a Reds uniform and will now have a statue in his honor. Well, what a good man he is. The All-Star Spotlight will highlight Hall of Famer Joe Morgan. Pete Rose weighs in on the 40-year anniversary of the 1975 World Champion Reds. Jeff Pecoro, Doug Flynn. Reds Weekly, Wednesday at 6 on Fox Sports Ohio. Runner at second, top of the order. Here's Dozier. He hit the big 3-run home run off Mike Leake on a 2-strike pitch to take it from 9-4 to our current count at 9-7. Dozier has 16 home runs and 40 runs batted in. Now, they did not want him batting in that leadoff spot again this season. In fact, when they brought up a highly touted Byron Buxton, they were thinking they had their guy for a long time. Then he ends up hurting his hand.
Yeah, he was the guy I was really looking forward to seeing play in this series.
I mean, he's been considered the #1 prospect in all of baseball, all teams, over the last couple of years. Here's a 1-1 pitch coming to Dozier. Found out to play first base side. Well, the Twins really haven't had a leadoff guy. They traded in the same winter. They traded Ben Revere and Denard Span. That was the offseason leading up to the 2013 season. As of last Sunday, they had used 6 different players with 10 or more starts in the leadoff spot. I mean, Dozier's the kind of guy you give him a chance to knock in some runs now, and it looks like he'll probably do it. Gone swinging here. Good pitch by Adcock for the second out of the inning.
You know, Dozier seems like the kind of guy that you can get him out if you keep the ball down, but if you get the ball up, he's got a level swing, and he Pop that ball out of here on Mike Leake that was up. Good spot there for Nate Adcock.
She'll land the inning, and one more out to go for Nate. That's a left-handed batting Joe Mauer. Mauer 1 for 3. Got a single into left field his last time up. Runner takes off for third. That's a stolen base for Robinson, his 4th and 5 tries.
Well, no throw to third because Todd Frazier is not about to leave his spot in case Mauer goes that way with a batted ball, and he likes to go that way. We'll take a look at his hit charts. I mean, this guy bats the ball like he's a right-handed hitter, really a right-handed pull hitter. More hits to left field than to right field by a long shot. And of course, that center field, a lot of those are probably left of center. So if we got real detailed, and most ball clubs have extremely specific detail on those hit charts, you'll see him hit the ball over there in that left center area almost at will. Even in batting practice was doing that.
I mentioned Mauer is a hometown kid. He grew up over in St. Paul, and boy, he has taken a pile of heat from the fans in Minnesota. You know, the Twins and Mauer agreed on that huge money long-term contract, and fans wondering where that Mauer is. Had won an MVP award, won 3 batting titles. Diving play by De Jesus, and a good play by Ivan for the final out of the inning. Reds still lead 9-7. One more look. Filling in for the man who makes these plays every night.
Jim Day. This date in Reds history, 1916. The Reds and Cubs played a 9-inning game, and they used just 1 baseball for the game. Now, I get this question a lot, whether I meet people in public or on social media. Just how many baseballs do they go through in a game nowadays? You see many of them thrown aside when they're thrown into the dirt. Foul balls hit out, home runs hit out, players throwing them into the stands at kids. Reds use about, on average, 70 baseballs per game. That is on average. Now, tonight it might be a little more because we've had a ton of hits. And there you see the baseballs that are certified, the ones that are thrown aside. They have someone that certifies them, stamps them, and in turn are sold to the public for charity. So there's the answer to the question, folks, that have asked me over the years. About 70 per game.
Well, Jim, it's a great note that you bring to all of us, because you're right. That is a question that is asked all the time. And now I'm glad I know the answer, thanks to Every Day is Jim Day.
You know, he's beginning to spoil us.
He really is. I mean, you know, we've documented the years, Brandon Phillips, the Joey Votto situation. Really the only reporter that had any contact with Joey, seemingly every day, and wondering, you know, would he get back to play? How healthy would it be? And Jim was all over that story. I'm telling you. You know, our son is 10 years old, and I mean, I am not kidding when I say this. Jim Day is Reds baseball. He's the one that says to me all the time, every day is Jim Day. We are very lucky to have him as part of our regular in-game broadcast now. As Marlon Byrd swings and fouls it out of play. It's no balls and 2 strikes. Jim, I just saw that commercial you did the other day. It was the first time I had seen it, where you were bouncing around to all the chili joints.
Oh, yeah, that was a Tums kind of day.
Did you actually have chili from all those? Would you at a Price Hill, right?
Yeah.
You went to
Dixie Chili.
Yeah.
And up there to Blue Ash Chili.
Right. Broken bat. Soft liner into left field. That'll be a base hit by Marlon Byrd. Did you actually taste test every single one of those? I'm not going to put you on the spot about what was the best, but did you eat a little bit of chili from all of them?
I had to, yes, indeed. Not only had to, but at that point wanted to. But the weird thing is we started shooting about 7:30 in the morning.
That's a good time for chili.
Well, chili is not, or, you know, coney dogs, cheese dogs are not normally on the menu that early, but I'm a man of the people. I did what I had to do.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Here's Tucker Barnhart. Tucker 2 out of 3, couple of singles, couple of runs batted in, a run scored. Ryan Presley taking over for Graham.
Hey, you were talking about the Rule 5 draftees that the Twins have taken over the years. He's one of them. Took him a few years ago. They got him from the Boston Red Sox.
Into left center field, a sinking liner is going to fall in, a base hit, and then rolls by the center fielder Rosario. Marlon Byrd digging hard, and he'll stop at third. Third hit tonight for Tucker Barnhart. And all 3 of them to the opposite field.
Really like that approach from Tucker Barnhart. You know, it just opens up so much for you when you use the entire field. That ball nearly a miraculous catch by Rosario, but it goes Barnhart's way. So the Reds now have a chance to get a little bit more back in that lead that they had at one time. 8 runs, now down to 2. Infield in here against Suarez.
Been a good night for Eugenio Suarez. Struck out looking to end the first inning. Had a 2-run double to left center field. Scored in the 5-run third. Had a single, stole a base in the 4th inning. Infield drawn in. Reds would love to get a couple of these runs back here. Suarez, a huge swing there on the 1-0 pitch. Came up empty. Schumacher in the on-deck circle would bat for Adcock. Yeah, Suarez has a home run, couple of doubles, 8 runs batted in. And look at those numbers with runners on base. And he lays it down to perfection on the squeeze. How about that? Beautifully done by Suarez.
I don't think you could do it any better than this time. I mean, he waits until the very last second, doesn't give it away one bit. And not only that, he lays down a bunt for a base hit.
I don't know why, but I want to say it's the second time he's done that on a squeeze play. Maybe I have that one.
It might be, I don't know. You know, you call me old-fashioned, but I love that play.
It's a great play.
I really do love that play.
Some high school it looks bad when it blows up on you.
It does, and some amateur high school teams especially overuse it. But if you just use it every once in a while, and you can make everybody feel good just by laying a bunt down.
Yeah, that is his second successfully executed suicide squeeze. The other one was against David Price, and the Tigers, they threw him out on that one, but it was still executed to get the run in. This time a bunt hit. So here's Schumacher, runners on the corners. Reds lead 10-7. Yeah, that one against David Price came in the second inning with Jay Bruce at third and Brian Pena at second base, and Suarez was asked to put down the suicide squeeze. The pitcher was batting behind him, and he got the job done. Second time tonight. 3-0 on Skip. Middle infield about halfway in, not all the way in. 3-1 on Schumacher. Would you even think about doing it again? 3-1 count. Pitcher's got to throw a strike, right? Would you think about it again?
I would probably more if you had a right-handed hitter up there. It really doesn't matter on a suicide whether it's righty or lefty, except if they call a pitch out, which they wouldn't do with 3 balls. A pitch out takes you right into the runner, and you can tag the guy out with a lefty hitter up there. Skip looking fastball on a 3-1 count, got the breaking ball. I would probably send Suarez here, figuring that Schumacher won't strike out.
3-2 the count on Skip. Suarez running. Foul ball. Schumacher trying to make it double digits in the pinch hits column. Leader in the league with 9 of them. Swing and a miss, and there are 2 outs in the inning. Suarez steals second base, his second steal of the night. Billy Hamilton. What a night he has had. A bunt single, scored in the first. A walk, stole second, stole third, scored in the second. A walk in the third, stole second, scored again. And in the fifth, an infield hit on a chopper up the third baseline. And his first time tonight, he's lifted the ball in the air, and this will end the inning. End of 6 as the Reds get a run. Reds 10, Twins 7. Been running. 3-run first inning, capped off by a Tucker Barnhart base hit. Second inning, it was Ivan De Jesus Jr. with a run-scoring single to play Billy Hamilton. I mean, the Reds were cruising, man. They got 5 runs in the third. Joey Votto had a 2-run single in that third inning. And a 2-run double in the inning by Suarez. Cruising 9-1. But then Dozier capped off a 6-run fourth inning against Mike Leake to make it 9-7. All that came in the fourth. Reds got nice relief for it by Adcock. 2 scoreless innings, no hits, 2 walks. And the Reds tack on a run in their last at bat in the 6th. So here we are in the 7th.
They're just trying to get outs right now. And a new pitcher that will be looking for those outs is Manny Parra. Good job by Nate Adcock. 2 innings of scoreless baseball. Did not give up a hit. Did walk a couple and struck out a couple.
Barnhart, a nice play, calls off Parra and throws out Torrey Hunter. 1 pitch, 1 out for Manny.
Well, Barnhart very athletic behind the plate, and you see him call it off right there, telling Parra, I've got it because I'm going in that direction. Let me pick it up for you.
Plouffe 2 out of 3, has scored a couple of runs, knocked in a run, has a single and a double. Plouffe yet a number of the #1 draft picks on this Minnesota team in 2004 out of Crespi, California. Played almost 8 full years in the minor leagues. They thought this guy was going to be a bust. And now he's been a regular over the last 3 seasons. Manny Parra picking him up and mowing him down. 2 away. Well, we invite you to follow each and every Reds game, of course, right here on Fox Sports Ohio. Then stick around for Reds Alive. Jim Day, Jeff Picoro, Brian Giesenslaw when we're on the road. Jim Day right here on the home front. Brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. Jeff Picoro being the clubhouse after the game, and Jim Day over in the Fox Sports Ohio condominium. He's been out of there for about a week. He's due to get settled back in. And Jim, I would imagine there's nothing better than getting settled back in on the home front with a W.
Oh, it's much better over there when it's a W, although the fans that show up are just as exuberant after the game, after a loss. So it's all good. Glad to be home after a rough road trip.
Yes. Parra trying to take care of the left-handed batting Eddie Rosario, who's had a perfect night. 2 singles, a run scored, a walk, a stolen base. Grounded foul. These Twins come in 5.5 behind front-running Kansas City. Royals are getting kicked around tonight in Houston. 6-0 Astros. That game in the 6th inning. Have a left-hander, Aaron Thompson, getting loose in their bullpen. Reds trying to bridge this gap in what is becoming a rather stingy trio of late in Parra, Hoover, and Chapman. And Parra in 1-2-3 fashion takes care of things in the 7th. Reds lead by 3. At Reds.com. Big push for Todd Frazier, and there should be at Reds.com. And we told you the last time they released results, Todd Frazier was 2.5 million votes behind Matt Carpenter. Now it's down to 63,000. Hold on a minute now. Something just happened to the Minnesota catcher during warm-ups. Oh, man, that bounce up hit him. It looked like on the collarbone or maybe the neck.
Well, he's going to stay in the ball game. They were attending to him for a while. Well, too many foul balls to the face mask is the reason that Joe Mauer is playing first base. Of course, when they signed him to that big contract that you referred to a couple of times, Tom, it was because, you know, he had just finished winning an MVP for the ball club. They wanted to wrap him up, make him the face of the organization, and then along the way he had sustained so many foul balls, he had concussion-like syndromes and all the problems associated with that, and they said, hey, the best way to keep this guy healthy is get him out from behind the plate and put him at first base.
I'll tell you, so, you know, sometimes it takes little things to put things in perspective that really should be in perspective all the time. But I mean, I watched my son pretty much catch this entire year, and we're only talking knothole now. And we've always agreed, I mean, there's no doubt about it, the toughest guys in the game of baseball are the catchers.
Agreed.
But when you're even standing there in little league games or knothole games and you're watching a kid catch and taking 4 or 5 of those rockets off the face mask that are foul tipped over the course and thinking the power and the strength and the speed of these guys at this level, boy, does it put in perspective how unbelievably tough these guys are that play catcher in professional baseball. It is just incredible how tough they are. That's during warm-ups. The guy just took one in the neck. Reds lead 10-7. They bat against Presley, who they scored a run on the last inning. 2-2 on Devontae Jesus Jr. Ball 4 to De Jesus.
Fifth at bat for Joey, 4th different pitcher.
Leadoff man aboard here in the Reds, 7th. And Votto waiting. And there's a strike. Good crowd here tonight. Monday night crowd. Of course, all we heard about, and I mean all we heard about, is how it's going to rain all night tonight. 100% chance.
Are you using your father as a meteorologist again?
Well, he wasn't the only one. And I mean, I don't want to speak too soon. Let's get through this one and get everybody home safe, sound, and dry. But, you know, the threat of rain in the air, and we still have almost 29,000 fans on this Monday night.
It's a good crowd. Well, of course, a lot of the crowd here is because of the kid glove game. This is the third of 4 kid glove games.
You were down on the field presenting an award.
I was. It was something different. I'll get to that in a second. But Paul Kramer, who's, you know, has single-handedly really kept the kid glove program alive over all the years. But he's director of that, if you want to call him that. We call him the chairman of our board of directors for the Hal Crosley Jr. Amateur Baseball Fund, which runs the kid glove games. But the Reds have been so wonderful in providing 4 games a year, benefits of which can go back to area baseball and softball through the kid glove program.
What a way in the inning.
I was on the field to give a plaque and an award out, a scholarship award, to a young man that won that. He was from Champaign County. Once a year on this date, because this was the date that Harvey Haddock, who was a resident and from Champaign County, upper Urbana area, pitched maybe what people consider the best pitching performance ever in the history of baseball. 12 perfect innings. Only ended up losing the ball game in the 13th inning. And there's a scholarship offered in his name, and we gave that out tonight.
Frazier mauls one to center field, but right at Rosario.
Oh, by the way, I was reminded that, you know, we were talking about left-handed pitchers that wore the number 32. Harvey Haddock also wore number 32. Yeah. That was, of course, because Steven Matz, who was the pitcher that really shut down the Reds yesterday, had that great game for the Mets.
Well, you liked him, didn't you?
Yes, indeed.
So you saw, and the Reds saw 3 pretty good-looking young pitchers in that series.
I'm wondering, you know, I haven't gotten a chance to talk to a lot of the players on the Reds about those guys. I mean, everybody seemed to be just so dead dog tired getting on that plane last night. But, yeah, Noah Syndergaard throwing about 98, 99.
That ball driven in a deep left center field off the bat of Jay Bruce, and that's up against the wall. They'll bring in another run. Rounding third and scoring De Jesus, Jay Bruce. 2 RBIs tonight and a pair of doubles.
Well, Jay Bruce has hit a couple of balls extremely hard tonight. This is the second of those. Ball up, out over the plate, goes with it. Nice smooth swing from Bruce there. Of course, the Reds won't see the Mets again, and maybe this is a good thing until they come to finish the regular season. I think the last weekend of the regular season is against the Mets.
This could be big games for the New York Mets, and or we'll see if they are for the Reds, but certainly for the Mets. And the Mets, who, what, 2.5 games out of first, they've won 4 in a row. Both the Mets and the team they're chasing, the Washington Nationals, have the night off. That's the right division to be in, though. Of course, all of them are the right division to be in, except for the National League Central. You're looking for a division leader to be behind.
You're right.
Well, the Atlanta Braves are 4 games under 500, and they're only 6 games out of first place in the East.
Now, the Mets have to figure out a way to win on the road. They are 15 games under 500 when they get away from Citi Field.
Spurred a ground ball to the shortstop, and that will end the inning. But the Reds' single runs in each of the last 2 propels us to the 8th, where the Reds lead 11-7. For as low as $12, and stick around after the game for a fireworks Friday night show featuring a live concert by the world-renowned Cincinnati Pops Orchestra, presented by Coca-Cola. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or log on to Reds.com/tickets. Manny Parra breeze through a 1-2-3 7th inning, and he'll take the ball here in the 8th. The Reds had to use so much bullpen over the weekend. What with the suspended game carrying from Saturday afternoon into Sunday, that turned into a 13-inning game. And then Josh Smith had to leave the game in the 6th inning yesterday. Manny only threw 9 pitches in the 1-2-3 7th. It's ball 1 to Suzuki. Latter third in the batting order, 7, 8, 9. I beg your pardon, 6, 7, 8. They have the pitcher batting 8. And obviously we'll pinch it for Presley here in this 8th inning. Liner into right. Bruce got it. Good play by Jay Bruce.
Well, if you hesitate on a play like that, you're not going to be able to make it. That ball will get down in front of you. It'll short hop you, may get by you. And Bruce did not hesitate. Went right after it. Immediately saw it off the bat. That makes your pitcher look good.
So now Eduardo Nunez is going to come up and bat. That was after they made a double switch. So Nunez, the pinch hitter, batting for the pitcher who is in the 7th spot after that double switch. So I beg your pardon. We have Shane Robinson, who stayed in the game, on deck. Hard hit ball, but right at the shortstop Suarez. Good throw, 2 away. Well, before every game right here on Fox Sports Ohio, 30 minutes before the start of every game, we call it Reds Live, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Will come your way at 6:30 tomorrow night. Right-handers Hughes and DeSclafani. Tickets are available. We invite you to come on down.
For the Twins, really on a couple of back-to-back nights, the Reds will see pitchers back-to-back from New York. Tonight's starter, Mike Pelfrey, toiled his whole career until he came here with the New York Mets. Tomorrow's starter, Phil Hughes, his entire career with the New York Yankees.
Reds an 11-7 lead with 2 outs and none on here in the 8th inning. Robinson had quite an at-bat, pinch hitting against Hancock back in that 7th inning. An 11 pitch at bat. He drew a walk. This time he hits it hard, but Jay Bruce is there and the inning is over. Reds bat in the bottom of the 8th, leading by 4. Down to the bottom of that Reds batting order, 7 and 8 spots. Tucker Barnhart, 3 hits. RBI single in the first, RBI single in the third, scored a run and a double in the 6th inning. And how about Eugenio Suarez? Struck out his first time up since 2-run double scored, single stole a base. Suicide squeeze to perfection right here. Plating Marlon Byrd to turn into a bunt hit. So Barnhart 3 hits, 2 runs batted in, a run scored. Suarez 3 hits, 3 batted in, 2 stolen bases and a run scored. And they'll be the first 2 hitters against a new pitcher, left-hander Aaron Thompson from the Minnesota Pen. He had a great first 2 months of the season and has really struggled here in the month of June.
Well, he, like so many of these other Twins, is a former #1 draft pick. He was picked back in 2005. That was the year that the Reds picked Jay Bruce. He was a 22nd pick by the Florida Marlins, traded by the Marlins to the Nationals, picked up off waivers by the Pittsburgh Pirates, and after getting free agency, signs on with the Twins.
And a 4-hit night for Tucker Barnhart. I would imagine that's a first in his career. It's probably a pretty safe bet. And it is indeed his first career 4-hit game.
Well, if you're going to knock out 17 hits, somebody's got to get them, right?
That's right. Now, what about Suarez? He's never had a 4-hit game. He's had 3 hits in a game 3 times, but never a 4-hit game. And still in search of it. One away in the inning. Well, here comes Jason Bourgeois, just activated off the disabled list. Let's check in downstairs for more on that with Jim Day.
He was the 26th man in that game yesterday. And at Citi Field in New York, sometimes when you're the 26th man, they're not sure who came into the game. And this is on the scoreboard. Number 30, unknown in right field. He said the people in New York, being New Yorkers before they changed it, of course let him know and razzed him big time. He said that his friends got wind of it and he was lit up today on the phone and via text, and of course his teammates got wind of it as well. They were lighting him up so much in the clubhouse today that he just went ahead and put up this in his locker.
Good for him.
Unknown. He's a good dude. He said, you know what? This is my 9th organization. I've been a part of every transaction imaginable. I love that stuff. It only motivates me to be a better player.
Well, of course, I mean, he was right there. And I mean right there for making his team in spring training. And he wound up, cracking his shoulder. It opened the door for guys like Brennan Bosch and Chris Dominguez, who certainly earned a spot on the roster by both having great springs in Arizona. But the Reds are glad to have Bourgeois back. Play the infield, can play the outfield. Proved he's more than ready by a little more than a week of games down in Louisville.
You know, Tom, in all the years I broadcasted here for the Reds, 23 of them now, I don't think I ever remember having a Reds player have a broken shoulder. And the Reds have had 2 this year. John Moscott on the disabled list with a really broken shoulder and dislocated his shoulder as well. But there was a fracture in there. And
isn't that the injury that Eric Davis had? And it might have been just before you were the announcer for the team. Didn't he do that to his shoulder when he ran into the wall at Wrigley? I thought it was the same injury.
Could be. I don't know.
If that was the injury, I mean, it might have been within a year or 2 before you were.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, I know.
It's just a very unusual injury to have 2 of them in the same year. Just kind of shows you how snake-bit the Reds have been when it comes from the injury front.
Well, you're not kidding. We always talk to, especially when guys come in and never see the Reds, and we alluded to Bert Blyleven and his partner for a long time. They've made up an outstanding announced team over there for the Twins and Dick Bremer for a long time. And you start catching up with guys about your team, and what about this guy, what about that guy, and Chris, it's been 2 years from now we run into guys and it's been, well, you can't believe the injuries. 2 years in a row now for the Reds. Reds 3 outs away from nailing this one shut to start this 6-game homestand. They lead by 4.
that it's an exciting doubleheader. Tickets are available now at allstargame.com, and one part of that doubleheader will be the futures game, in which you will see Reds prospect Yorman Rodriguez, and today he was announced as your International League Player of the Week. 444 over the past 7 days, 12 runs driven in, had 3 different 3-hit games and a 5 RBI game as well. And he will be joined tomorrow in AAA by Raisel Iglesias. He'll begin his rehab stint tomorrow, coming back from an oblique injury. Brian Price wants to build him back up as a starter, not in the bullpen, so look for him to have 2 or 3 outings down there if it goes well. Tony Cingrani threw a bullpen today. He is set to also have a rehab stint in AAA. That will come up on Saturday. As you see Tony right there, things going well with him with the shoulder. And Devin Mesoraco had surgery in Monday this morning by hip specialist Dr. Brian Kelly with the assistance of Dr. Krimchek. Double thumbs up, says Brian Price. All things went well. It's the injury they expected, and they expect him to be back with full activity by January 1st. So all good news on the injury front.
That is good news. We certainly send out our very best to speedy recovery to Devin Mesoraco. Not a safe situation with a 4-run lead for Aroldis Chapman, but he comes on to get the final 3 outs of the game. You know, give you an idea about how long it's been since the Reds and how infrequent the Reds get together with the Twins. They have played only 1 series. That was in 2012, going all the way back to the 2002 season. The fewest number of games between opponents in all of Major League Baseball. I only bring that up because one of those 3 games is when Aroldis Chapman gave up a home run to Josh Willingham in the 9th inning to blow a save chance, and the Twins took 2 out of 3 in that series. That was that fastball. It was down around shin high, and I mean Willingham hit that ball so far they might still be looking for it. One on Danny Santana, 9-1-2 in the Minnesota batting order. This would be Nate Adcock's 2nd major league win, his first since 2011, and that one came against the Minnesota Twins. Adcock gave him 2 innings behind Mike Leake of hitless, scoreless baseball. On swinging Santana, he helped out Chapman there.
Back 3 of the 5 pitches that Chapman threw, make it 4 of the 6. Really up and out of the strike zone there, just going up top on Santana.
Get Anthony DeSclafani against Phil Hughes tomorrow night. 6:30 Reds Live. Our game coverage gets underway at 7 o'clock. Tickets are available. We invite you to come down if you're able. Fastball in there is striked at 102 miles per hour to Dozier. Back-to-back 102. And more importantly, back-to-back strikes. That one at 103.
I'll tell you, we've seen Tucker Barnhart have to go up high and to the right to snag a couple of high fastballs off of Chapman along the way. I wonder if Jim Day gets to talk to him after the game, or Jeff Pecoro. Ask him if his left arm is now longer than his right arm.
Good question. Jeff Pecoro standing by right down there in the Reds dugout, set for a celebratory interview. 2-2 on Dozier. Are those sideburns Aroldis is growing there?
Standalones.
Those are on their way to being some big leaguers now.
Yeah.
If he stays with them.
Well, Dozier's running up that ball count that Jim Day was referring to earlier.
He has 70 in a game. Well, if he keeps that slider down this time, it won a moment ago, bounced so far in front of the plate that there was no chance Dozier was going after it. Dozier could turn himself into the ground off the inside corner. Pretty good battle right here. Dozier and Chapman. We could see this matchup perhaps in the All-Star game in a couple of weeks from tomorrow. Dozier certainly on his way for Minnesota, and we know Chapman a real good shot for the Reds. Oh.
Gas right there. And you wonder what he's saying. You know, and I've always wondered what hitters say when they come up and they face Aroldis Chapman. So I asked Tucker Barnhart.
You don't see guys throw 100 miles an hour, let alone left-handed. So it's difficult at times, but it's also it's a good thing because we're winning when he comes in the game. So I enjoy it thoroughly, and hopefully I get to catch him for a long time.
Here to that. Well, you have a left-handed batter, 3-time batting champion, Joe Mauer. Takes a fastball off the outside corner. Reds it out away from an opening game win. At least for a little while, able to forget about New York over the weekend. They certainly busted out the big bats offensively tonight. 11 runs, 17 hits.
That's 2 in a row that Mauer doesn't like, and I think one of the comments after the last pitch, or the first strike, was that maybe you ought to swing the bat. Because that strike zone not only full of heat, but might be getting a little bit bigger. But I guess it's a matter of pride too as a hitter to come up there. I mean, just first of all, probably your first goal is to make contact. And then of course trying to turn them around. Very few have done that.
He's gone 103 4 times in this inning. He's gone 102, probably another 4 or 5. Wow, that'll get your attention. Ooh. 2-2 on Mauer.
Time for a slider.
sails up and in. Big deep exhale from Joe Mauer. He's hanging in there. Gone swinging, and Chapman fans aside in the ninth inning. And the Reds return home and celebrate a win. The 11-7 our final here tonight. And we'll be back with more from Great American Ballpark in a moment.